William E. Boeing. Back in 1916, he built a seaplane in a boathouse in Seattle. He called his company the Pacific Aero Products Company. But, just a year later, it was renamed the Boeing Airplane Company. Starting with planes for the United States Navy in World War I, Boeing's journey began. Not in a hangar, but honestly, in a garage with wings. After World War I, demand crashed. Boeing tried to survive by building furniture and boats. In 1934, the United States government accused Boeing of being part of an aviation monopoly. 1996 TWA Flight 800, a Boeing 747, exploded mid-air near New York. All 230 passengers died, a tragedy caused by a fuel tank spark. 2018 and 2019, two Boeing 737 MAX crashes, Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines, 346 lives lost. The
broke his company
culprit,
into three
a
companies.
flawed software system called MCAS. The entire MAX fleet was grounded, billions were lost, trust was broken, and the hits didn't stop there. After 9/11, airlines worldwide slashed orders. Boeing took a hard hit. Then came the Dreamliner delays. The 787 had big promises but ran into battery fires and technical failures, pushing Boeing billions into the red. Boeing whistleblowers. In the shadows of Boeing's shiny aircraft and global success, whistleblowers were raising red flags, warning of danger and begging someone, anyone, to stop the rush. A senior manager at the Boeing 737 factory in Renton, Washington, Edward Pearson, saw the chaos before the world did. He warned of production pressure, workers' condition, and safety shortcuts. He even called it a factory in chaos. But the planes kept rolling out. 2 crashed. 346 lives lost. Edward testified before Congress in 2019.
This is not a 737 problem, it's a Boeing problem. And I know the FAA's gone in and they've done due diligence and inspections to assure that the door plugs of the 737 are installed properly and the fasteners are torqued properly. But my concern is, what's the rest of the airplane? What's the rest of the condition of the airplane? Inspection of steps being removed, issues being ignored. My concerns are with the 737 and the 787 because those programs have really embraced the theory that quality is overhead and non-value added. So those two programs have really put a strong effort into removing quality from the process. When I first started working at Charleston, I was in charge with pushing back defects. The 2 inspectors were given 2 hours to inspect the whole 41 section, and they were kicked off there. The 2 inspectors were given 2 hours to inspect the whole 41 section, and they were kicked off the airplane.
But in March 2024, during a legal deposition, John was found dead in a hotel parking lot, ruled a suicide, but it left a storm of questions. John was 62. He never stopped fighting for passengers' safety. Sam Salapur, the engineer who wouldn't stay silent. He claimed the 787 Dreamliner fuselages weren't properly fastened, and Boeing knew it. He said the company was rushing production, ignoring protocols, and risking long-term structural failures. He faced corporate pressure, but stood before the United States Senate and told the world the truth. And remarkably, he's still working at Boeing today. Curtis Eubank, the one who saw it coming in 2019, Curtis Eubank, a systems engineer, filed a chilling complaint. He said Boeing had refused to implement safety tech that could have prevented the 737 MAX crashes just to save money. A heartbreaking example of cost over care. These whistleblowers, Edward John Sam Curtis, weren't just employees. They were guardians of conscience in a system that chose speed over safety. Their courage forced Boeing, regulators, and the world to face a bitter truth: no machine is worth more than a human life. In 1932, industrialist and aviation pioneer J.R.D. Tata founded Tata Airlines, India's first commercial airline. The very first flight took off from Karachi to Madras, via Bombay and Ahmedabad, carrying mail, with J.R.D. himself as the pilot. In 1946, Tata Airlines became Air India, and by 1953, the Indian government nationalized it, making it the official flag carrier of independent India. In the early decades after nationalization, bureaucracy, political interference, and slow international expansion slowed down the airline activity. In Indian history, some of the worst aviation disasters were borne by Air India. In 1978, Flight 855 plunged into the Arabian Sea, killing 213 people. Then, in 1985, the infamous Kanishka bombing. Flight 182 exploded mid-air off Ireland. All 329 people on board perished. Fast forward to 2010, Flight 812 overshot the runway in Mangalore. 158 lives were lost. By the 2000s, the airline was bleeding. Poor management, overstaffing, and a failed merger with Indian Airlines in 2007 only worsened the situation. Debt soared past 60,000 crore rupees. That's over $8 billion US. Repeated bailouts just weren't enough. Despite all this, Air India had a sizable fleet before its privatization, over 130 aircraft, including Boeing 747s for VIP and long-haul routes, Boeing 777s and 787 Dreamliners for international flights, and Airbus A320s for domestic travel. Let's rewind a bit. In 2018, the Indian government tried selling a 76% stake in Air India. But the massive 33,000 crore rupee debt scared away all potential buyers. Fast forward to 2020, the government made another attempt, offloading most of the debt to a special purpose vehicle. And finally, in October 2021, Tata Group successfully acquired Air India Express, and 50% of AISATs for 18,000 crore rupees. By January 2022, the Maharaja was officially back home. In May, Campbell Wilson was appointed CEO of Air India. Tata's vision wasn't just about taking control, but also, Air Asia and Air India were merged and rebranded as AIX Connect and began integrating with Air India Express. Vistara, the merger with Air India, was announced and completed in November 2024. Singapore Airlines bet on India's airlines and now owns a 25% stake in the combined airline, a pretty big move in aviation history. In February 2023, Air India made headlines with a historic $70 billion order for 470 new aircraft from Airbus and Boeing. Rebranded as Vista, Air India launched the Airbus A350 on Indian routes in January 2024. On the cargo front, Air India is building a separate logistics business, already seeing a 30% revenue jump since 2022. With tech-driven systems in the works, they aim to handle 2.5 million tons of cargo by 2027. In September 2024, Tata Group announced a $400 million refurbishment program for 67 older aircraft to enhance passenger experience and fuel efficiency. Air India plane took off at 1:39 in the afternoon. Thrust not achieved, falling, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. These were the last words from Air India Flight AI-171's cockpit, moments before the Boeing 787 Dreamliner crashed into the BJ Medical College hostel shortly after takeoff, killing 241 people on board. 36 seconds later, it crashed. Air India Flight AI-171, which crashed after takeoff from Ahmedabad, had a total of 242 people on board. The passenger nationalities included 169 Indian nationals, 53 British nationals, 7 Portuguese nationals, and 1 Canadian national, according to Air India. One sole survivor, British national Vishwash Kumar Ramesh. With this, a total of 260 people are reported to have been killed. That includes 241 in the plane and 19 on the ground. This is said to be the final figure of the tragedy. Many theories arise. Let's break it down in detail. One theory is engine power loss or dual engine failure. Deployment of the ram air turbine, or RAT, indicates possible engine failure or hydraulic power loss. Witnesses and footage show the aircraft remaining low with landing gear down and a slow climb, consistent with thrust loss. Another theory is flap or landing gear misconfiguration. Observers report landing gear still extended and flaps possibly retracted prematurely, suggesting a stall scenario. Expert speculation includes pilot error or misconfiguration in a high workload emergency. Maintenance and hydraulics issues have also been considered. The DGCA mandated inspections on engine fuel actuators, hydraulic systems, and electronic controls, following indications of maintenance gaps. Boeing 787 had known minor technical faults. Air India grounded the fleet for checks,